Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another Burlingame. It's a small-town podcast sponsored by the Burlingame Historical Society. This is Mark LaCasey, also known as Mark at the Mic, and my guest today has been a Burlingame City employee for 9 years, coming to us from the San Mateo County Elections Division, where she served as an elections supervisor. And with Election Day just over a week away, I thought it would be interesting to have as my guest today Burlingame City Clerk Meaghan Hassel-Shearer. Meaghan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
You bet. Hey, I'm going to give you a quote, see if this sounds familiar. If you don't love cats and voting, not sure why you were here. Where did I get that from, huh? Who said that?
That's my Instagram account handle, yes.
I thought it was great when I was looking things up. So I'm going to continue on with a couple of more fun facts, if you don't mind. You're a native of New Hampshire. Mm-hmm. You graduated from George Washington University, Washington, D.C.
Correct.
And you received your law degree from Temple University in Philadelphia.
Correct.
Have you ever practiced law?
I did. After I graduated from law school, I moved to the Northern Mariana Islands for 4 years and was a lawyer there.
You were? Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. All right. We're going to get to that in a minute because that was another little fun fact I found. But this is a cool one, too. You were a mentor for the Temple University men's basketball team?
Yes.
Go Owls? Is that what we say, or go Birds?
Never go Birds, because that would be Eagles, and I'm not a fan.
Okay. But
so
it's go Owls.
Always go Owls,
okay.
Yes.
Can you tell me what year that was, and what was that all about, being a mentor?
Yeah, so I was a mentor for the team from 04 to 07. Coach Cheney, who is a...
You were with John Cheney, the great John Cheney?
Exactly.
What year was that?
04 to 07. So he left while I was there and was replaced by Coach Dunphy. But Coach Cheney had set up a program where law students would work with the men's basketball team to kind of help them create their schedule. If they needed tutors, we'd set that up for them, etc.
How cool was that?
It was awesome.
I bet it was. And this is back, and you said up to 2007? Correct. You ever stay in contact with anybody anymore? Has everybody just gone their own way, or what?
No, I have a lot of good friends from those years from the basketball team. Yeah. So it became more, when I worked with them, about helping them out in general as well. I took a lot of them to buy their first suits. I helped them with financial readiness if they were going to get into the NBA, or just managing their contracts. So I've stayed in close. One of them is Anthony Ivory, and now he's an art teacher in the D.C. area after a short-lived European basketball career. One of my other good friends is now the head coach for UNH's basketball team, and then two others work in player development for the NBA.
That is really cool. Mm-hmm. Did John pass away?
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
I should know this.
I think he did, right, yeah. I mean, he was a very volatile but very great coach with the kids and everything.
And loved the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
He always saved a couple seats on his roster for local players.
Yeah, that's really cool. Okay. I have another little fun fact here that I thought was actually very interesting. You mentioned it a minute ago. You were an assistant attorney general for Saipan, or in Saipan, the Commonwealth for the Northern Mariana Islands. Is that, did I say that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay, so this goes under my no dumb questions heading, if you don't mind, Meaghan. You and I are at the ocean, okay? We're at Half Moon Bay. We're looking at the Pacific Ocean. We're looking west. Where is Saipan?
Great question. Most people don't know. So I always first ask people if they've ever heard of Guam, because it's...
Yes, the Philippines, right?
Yeah. So Guam is about a 50-minute flight away. But for other people, it's located a 3.5-hour flight south of Tokyo or 3.5 hours west of Manila. So it's really right dead in the middle of nowhere in the ocean. It's also known because it's the deepest part of the ocean. The Marianas Trench is right there. Or for World War II buffs, this is where there was a huge land battle in the Pacific portion of World War II. And the atomic bomb was put together on Tinian before they took off for Japan.
Maybe that's where I've heard of Saipan.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a tourist destination at all?
It is. It's a big tourist destination for Asia.
It is. Mm-hmm. So they have high-rise hotels and things like that, or what? Wow. How long did you spend there?
I thought I was only going to be there for a year, but I did my second summer of law school, your associate internship in Saipan, and then I came back for 4 more years.
Okay, so tell me quickly or shortly or whatever, how did you end up with this job? I mean, was that in the want ads or something, the school bulletin, and you applied for it and got it? How's that come out? How's that come about?
I had done my second year of law school in Tokyo. Temple has a campus over there. And while I was there, the dean of the law school and I became good friends, and he knew I wasn't looking for a traditional law firm job and said, I used to work on this really small island, but you'll get a lot of experience. So he introduced me to a good friend of his who had a 5-person law firm, which was the biggest law firm on island. And I went and interned there for the summer and was then introduced to the lieutenant governor who brought me back.
Wow, you spent 4 years there? Mm-hmm. Terrific. Okay. How about telling me a little bit about how you left Saipan and you ended up in Burlingame, California? Can you run that by us a little bit?
Yeah. So when I was in Saipan, they had just been granted a non-voting delegate to Congress. So I redid their election laws there in order to make it work with the federal elections. And while I was there, I really realized that my passion wasn't necessarily the law, but it was elections. And so after about 3 years on Saipan, my family started wondering, are you going to come back? Like, can you be a little closer to us? And my sister had her first baby by then, so I wanted to come back to the States so I could be closer. And at the time, my parents were living in Dublin, California.
Oh, great.
So I came there and then saw an opening at the San Mateo County Elections Office and jumped on it.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay, if you don't mind, I'm going to break away. I've got a quote here.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. And whenever I read these quotes, I like to do them slowly. I've practiced a few times. But Meaghan's advocacy is about making voting fun and encouraging participation. Her engagement with youth and future voters inspired my own daughters to pre-register, and they never miss an election. She is the epitome of a great city clerk, and Burlingame is fortunate to have her with us. Plus, she's feline friendly. So there we go with the cat thing again. But anyway, that was from Mayor Donna Colson.
That's very nice.
That was sweet, wasn't it? Very nice of her. So let's do this. Let's talk a little bit about what Donna was saying about making voting fun and encouraging voter participation. Because a couple of years ago, I had on a couple of Burlingame High School students who have since graduated and gone on to college, Ella and Ava Geary. And at that time, I think you were mentoring them in founding Generation Voter, right? So they've gone on. Well, first of all, let me just explain to everybody. Generation Voter is a nonpartisan mission to register young voters or young students aged 16 to 18 and beyond, right? Anyway, Ava and Ella have gone on to college. What's happened to Generation Voters? It's still around?
It's still around. I've taken on some new interns. I have Lila and Shani that are helping me with it now, or Shani, excuse me. It is mostly run by the students now, which I love. So they have their own club at Burlingame High School that's helping them register students to vote, talking about issues that are going on, and thinking of new ways of looking at the elections, trying to always tie things back to local issues. We've also expanded now into San Mateo.
The San Mateo High School?
No, the city of San Mateo. The city clerk there is running their chapter of Generation Voter, and we're hoping that we can expand it throughout the county.
Terrific. Do you ever hear from the girls, Ava and Ella?
Not enough, but yes. If I could bottle up their energy, they were amazing. I've never had two women, especially at their age, so driven by elections and wanting to register people and coming in so serious about like a cause.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
I think they both ended up at St. Louis University.
WashU in St. Louis.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Washington University in St. Louis.
Yes.
Is that what it was? Yeah. And at the time I did them, they were like one was a senior, one was a junior, and I guess they're both wherever they are now.
Sophomore and junior.
Sophomore and junior. That's terrific. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about being a city clerk. what's this all about, right? Mm-hmm. So can you describe, the primary duties of a city clerk and how they serve the residents of Burlingame?
Yeah, I often like to think of my position as people's first contact with government. So if a resident has a concern or an issue or a frustration and they usually don't know where to start, they'll come to me first. So it's my job to kind of push people or navigate them through city government. Which department can help them best? Or is this something that the city council should hear? I'm also in charge of all records for the city, which means I handle all public records requests, and I assist with the city council. I'm kind of their official record keeper. And then obviously most importantly to me is that I'm in charge of elections for the city.
Great. That's what I was hoping you were going to say, because I've got a few questions about that in here. Citizens see you every day, every Monday or every other Monday at city council meetings via Zoom or in person, right? So why are you there?
I'm there because I'm the official record keeper for the city.
Right.
So what I do up there is I make sure that we always get the vote when the council is voting on something. And I make sure, most importantly, that the public has their chance to speak on an issue.
What if you're not there? Does somebody take your place?
So I have not been there a couple times because I've been sick. So
Right.
I have a phenomenal assistant, Andrew Quokka, who can step in for me.
Great. Okay, good. So what are some of the biggest challenges of being a city clerk?
Not enough time in the day. I think if I could get more records out to people quicker, everyone would be a lot happier. We do our best, but there's just a lot of paper and people with concerns that I'm trying to address.
Yeah. You have a rather long day, it seems to me. If you take the time that you leave from the house, get to work, and then you go back home again, because you're living in Alameda, right? Mm-hmm. And how do you get here? You drive, or you take BART, you take the ferry or something?
Yeah, so I either drive in. So if I drive in, I leave at 6:30 in the morning. But if I take public transportation, I'll take the ferry to Embarcadero and then the BART to Millbrae. And I'm very fortunate that we have some nice coworkers in the city that'll pick me up from the Millbrae BART and then drive me the rest of the way into work.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Does it work in reverse too? Let's say you came from BART that day. How do you get home? Do you get back to BART? Somebody gives you a ride back?
Someone will give me a ride back, or I'll take. Sometimes you just need to have some time to clear your head. So I've been taking Caltrain up to the city and then walking the almost 2 miles from the Giant Stadium to Embarcadero. But it's just a good time to get my head cleared.
What time would you get home?
So I usually get home about 7 p.m.
Yeah, just in time to get ready for work the next day. Okay. Do you ever get together with the other city clerks to discuss various issues and challenges of being a city clerk?
Yes. I think that's important, right? You need somebody else to bounce ideas off, or if you're frustrated, to kind of work through a problem. So especially during election season, we try to get together a couple times to make sure that we all know what's going on and how can we assist each other.
And how many city clerks would be involved? San Mateo, Hillsborough, Millbrae, something like that, or what?
So we have 20 city clerks in the county.
So you'll all get together?
Sometimes, yeah.
On a Zoom?
No, in person.
Where?
I'm not telling you.
Okay.
But I would say I get together mostly with Priscilla from Foster City. We have Martin in San Mateo, and then Elaine in Millbrae. We've all kind of worked together for the past 14 years that I've been in this county. So we know each other's quirks really well, and we're able to assist.
Yeah. Sidebar question here. This is an appointed position, isn't it? It's not something we vote on, right?
It used to be an elected position.
It was. When did that change?
Shortly, I think it was maybe the election or two before I joined the city in 2015. They voted on it. So
you interviewed with Lisa and the city council, or how did that work?
I interviewed with Lisa, and with Lisa is big on, which I appreciate, that the whole department head team gets along. So then I sat down with everyone in the department head team.
Like a group of them, and they were grilling you, or one-on-one?
A group of them.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. It was quite the introduction to the city when you have 10 of your colleagues or potential colleagues all looking at you and asking you questions.
So did you have one time around, or was it a couple of interviews that you went through, or what?
Once with all the department heads, then I met with our former city attorney, Kathleen Kane, and then Lisa.
Yeah. And Lisa has the final decision, or is it a group thing?
She definitely takes into consideration what everyone else
what
says.
her team wants, right? Likes. Yeah. Okay, great. So is there anything that that you're proud of having put in place or initiated anything like that?
Yeah, there's a couple things. So in the more traditional, the clerk role, when I first joined the city, we have what we call a vault in the finance department. And it's an old bank vault that used to hold every resolution the city council had ever passed, every ordinance, every contract of the city. And people could go in there, take it out, look at it, add it to a staff report. But I was always afraid we would lose these really valuable records of the city. And so under me, we purchased an electronic records management system where now everything is very searchable. And my goal is that at some point you'd be able to enter in an address and everything that's ever been done to that piece of property or that land will come up instantly for people.
Wow. So you're in the process of doing that right now?
Yes.
So there's stuff still in the vault?
No, the vault, I've gotten it all on to this database, and in the next week or so, we'll be releasing a public portal so that people can search through resolutions from 1936 forward, and it'll have all of our old meeting minutes from all the different commissions on there, ordinances in their original form. It's really cool.
Oh, it's gotta be. Wow.
And then,
what a program. What's that?
I'm going to brag about something else that we've been doing.
Go for it. That's what this is about. Yeah.
I'm also really proud of the I Voted sticker contest we have here in the city.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
So in the 2022 election, for that election cycle, I asked local students to draw I Voted stickers, what they thought would represent the city of Burlingame on a sticker. You know, the county gives out a very traditional I Voted sticker,
right?
But I thought it would be more personable. And so we had that first go around, we had about 200 entries of all this beautiful artwork.
Wow, 200?
So all these students entered in. We picked, I think the first go around, we picked 4 of them. One of the students ended up entering her I Voted sticker design after she won with us. She entered it into a federal contest, and she was recognized at the White House for her design.
That's crazy. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah. So, and I think it has such a, one, you get these children that are so pumped and proud of their designs, and now there's all these adults that are wearing their artwork. But then you have the parents coming with their children to the ballot box and asking for their child's sticker or their child's friend sticker. So it gets me more people coming to the ballot box as well.
So wait a minute. How does one get one of these stickers? I mean, you have one out. Is that the one you're wearing right now?
This is one of them.
Okay. How does one get that?
So I supply both of our vote centers in so we have 2 vote centers here in Burlingame. There's the one at the community center and one at City Hall. I give them both stickers. I've given the library a ton of stickers. City Hall will always have a lot of stickers, and I encourage people, come in. Ask me for stickers. Ask me for multiple stickers. I'll give you whatever you need.
Okay. That's great. So, okay. All right. What improvements or changes do you foresee in the role of the city in the next few years?
I think we're going to become much more accessible. I think that through the records management portal, we can also do forms. So we've started creating online forms for the community members, whether it be your business license, encroachment permit, you name it, tree removal. We want to make more of that online so that people can do these things on their time instead of only during office hours at City Hall.
That's terrific. Okay. So just a little while ago, before I got here, as a matter of fact, I dropped off our ballots at the City Hall voter drop box. I think that's the box you're just talking about, right? As the city clerk, are you in charge of that vote collection box, or is that the county's responsibility?
So I'm in charge of figuring out where to put them. the county is in charge of the actual ballot box, which is the way it should be. So,
Okay, so somebody from the county is going to come by with a key and open that up? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, so it's always, they have at the county what's called, and every elections office has it, it's called two-person integrity. So whenever you're in the presence of a ballot, there's always has to be at least two people there. So you'll see them occasionally come through. Two of them will get out. There's a sticker on the ballot box. They'll take that sticker off that has a number, open it. They'll count all the ballots that they've taken out there.
Right there as they're doing it.
As they're doing it. And then they'll lock it up, put a new seal on the door to the ballot box, and take those to the elections office.
Do you know when they're there? Do they check in with you at all, or do they just come random and pick things up, or what?
They come about once a week until this week. They'll come 2 to 3 times this week. And I like to poke into the elections office and be like, tell me how many ballots you're getting. Because I want to also know if the locations that we picked for these ballot boxes are good or if I need to advertise them better.
So you said we have 2 in Burlingame. 2.
We have 2 vote centers, but we have 3 24/7 ballot boxes.
Okay, because you must have something in North Burlingame, right?
We have one over on Broadway, and my goal is I think we should have one for every 4,000 registered voters.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see one show up in North Rollins once we get that neighborhood.
Right. What about the Burlingame Plaza? No? Yes, no?
Don't have one there yet, but that is a great idea. So
Yeah.
I'm going to steal that from you.
Okay.
But they're just a great, I also think of it just as being a beacon because throughout the year, if it's there permanently, it kind of seeps into your brain that that's where you can drop your ballot off. And so it acts as this constant reminder to you. Kind of like when you see your post boxes, the mailboxes.
Right.
You know where they are in the off years too.
Okay. So kind of this is very interesting. Walk me through this election thing a little bit when the county picks up these ballots. When do they start opening them and counting things? In other words, how do you keep track of what's going on in Burlingame? Do they call you and say, hey, so-and-so from District 2 has 100 votes? And you know what I mean? How does that work?
Yeah, so it's called cast and counted. So what they'll do is once they get the ballots, they'll bring them back. They have this fancy machine that they put the ballots in, and it takes a picture of your signature that's on your envelope. Then there's other individuals that are sitting there at computers who are checking because it'll pull up your voter registration.
Right.
And they'll check your signature versus what's on the envelope. And a lot of times, a wife and a husband will sign each other's envelopes by accident. So it'll kick those ones out and they can feed them back through once they get the husband's or the wife's envelope. So once they've checked all the signatures, then the ballots are sent back through that machine, where at this point it pushes out the ones where the signatures were cleared or the ones where they have the problem. So if they were cleared, then they have teams that are taking the ballots out of the envelopes, flattening them, getting them ready to go through the machine. And once they put them through the machine, they'll start to the computer system they have there will, if you filled out your ballot correctly, will just count what's going on. But if you haven't, let's say you decide, or not haven't filled it out correctly, but if you've left something blank, it'll pop it out just to make sure that 2 people look at it and say, oh yeah, they did leave this one blank. Or oh yeah, they did overvote on this one. So there's this constant check on it, and then it just, the votes that are cast just sit there. And then at 8 o'clock on election night, they enter these kind of like a hard disk drive into a separate computer, and that tabulates everything. So that's when your ballot is actually counted. So it gets cast, and then it's counted later with everyone else's, right at 8 o'clock.
At 8 o'clock Tuesday evening.
That's why you'll see the first report always comes out at about 8:05.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And this is like every city, USA?
Well, at least in California, this is how we do it.
Yeah. Where's all this, like you said, they take it back and they put it in the computer. Where's that? Where are we talking about?
So this is all done over at 40 Tower Road.
Where's it at? Say that
40
again.
40 Tower Road.
Where's
so it's
that?
in unincorporated San Mateo.
Okay, is that where you used to work? Yeah, and you put in quite a few years there, right?
4 years.
Yeah. Okay, that's really cool. And then, so that Tuesday night, we found out how Burlingame did. Well, obviously, we find out how the national election went or how it's going, et cetera. So we also find out about Burlingame and the measures and things like that.
So, yes, but I want to, especially since this podcast is going to go out before.
Yeah.
I want to caution everyone on Election Day, they're going to collect a ton of vote-by-mail ballots that have been put in the 24/7 ballot boxes or dropped off at a polling place, at a vote center. Those ballots won't be processed. Like the signature checking that we just talked about and the flattening, none of that will be done until after Election Day. So when you see people start to call things on election night, they don't actually have all the ballots counted. So I always, especially my family, because they call me thinking I'm an expert on these things, and I say, you got to take a deep breath. We all just got to take a pause and let them get through the counting. I know LA County, they'll have 2 12-hour shifts going for 30 days to make sure that they get all the ballots counted after Election Day. So it takes a while. So when we think we have the results on election night, you really don't have it until everything's been counted. They also have, if you put your ballot in the mail and it's postmarked on election day, you still have 3 days to get that one counted.
Yeah. Fascinating. Mm-hmm. So, Meaghan, I'm just kind of wondering, what are some of the challenges of Burlingame going to district elections? And district elections, we have 5 districts here in Burlingame, right? Mm-hmm. Yes. It's no more citywide elections. So have there been some challenges with doing that process, going through that process?
Yeah. I would say that was probably the most challenging thing I've had to do for the city so far. Just even the implementation of it from the beginning, it's hard to get people on board to something they don't want to do and then get those residents that didn't necessarily want to do it to participate. So one of my goals when I was doing it was, you might not like this, but at least help me figure out how best to draw these map lines. So we had hired an outside company, but then Andrew and I were at every farmer's market we could be at, asking the community to draw us what they thought the map should be.
Really? So you had a big part in drawing the districts?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's only been a couple of years, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was done. So our last election was our first time doing districting. So 2022, we had districts 1, 3, and 5 on the ballot. So that gave us somebody in line hope for the first time in a while.
Yes, that was probably Peter Stevenson,
Mm-hmm.
right? Wait a minute, you went to farmers markets with the Burlingame map or something?
We drew out the maps and had you use the census data for population.
Okay.
And so we would ask people to draw, after explaining the rules of what each district needed, we'd ask them to draw what they thought the lines should be.
Yeah.
Then I would collect that data and any feedback they had and give it to our demographer, and he would take that with the people who draw on maps online and come up with different versions of what the map should be. And then we'd present it to council in the community to see which one they liked the best.
Okay. I hate to use this word, but that's really trippy, man. Okay. That's crazy. That's good stuff.
Yeah. I think the new hardest thing about it is just education, like trying to do public outreach to the community still about districting. What district do you live in?
Yeah.
I know voters have gotten confused when they see, a candidate sign in their district and they're like, wait, but I don't think they're in my district. So trying to, just explain to people where the lines are.
Yeah. And not all cities have converted to that yet, right? San Carlos, I think still has citywide elections.
I know Foster City is currently undergoing the districting process, but I think there's still a couple that haven't done it.
Have held out, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that you're absolutely required to do. It's just highly recommended to do.
Yes, there's a part of the state constitution that a lawyer has used to require us to move to district elections.
Yeah, and you're a lawyer. Okay. All right. We hear all sorts of voting difficulties around the country during election time. Have you ever had problems in Burlingame?
No. I think that the state of California does a phenomenal job when it comes to elections. I've helped set up elections or worked at polling places in New Hampshire, in Virginia, Maryland, and in the Northern Mariana Islands. And what California does that no one else does is we give people so many opportunities to vote. We're going to send you a ballot. We're going to let you correct your signature when it doesn't match. We're going to let you pick up another ballot, at the polling place. We're going to let you vote at any one of our voting centers in the county. I think about my parents live in North Carolina, and my mom had called me to tell me she voted early, and she waited in line for 2.5 hours to vote early.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, to vote early, which is amazing because it means people are showing up. But it also hurts my heart because no one should have to wait in line that long to vote.
Right.
My brother lives in Michigan, and when he was in Detroit, he'd regularly wait in line for 7 hours in order to vote.
Because they didn't have little polling boxes like you have in front of City Hall, or what?
For a number of reasons. Different states have requirements on how many vote centers they have per registered voters, and so there just aren't as many in other places as they are here. In my brother's county where he lives, there's only one drop box. And that serves this whole county, while we have 3 here in the city of Burlingame.
Yeah.
So when I think about all the things that we do in order to assist our voters, I'm very proud of the system we've set up here in California. And I also am really proud of the hard work just of election staff throughout the country. I know there's been a lot of questions about it, but I got to tell you, I've never met people more dedicated to what this country represents and to democracy than people that work in elections, because it's not fun work. I mean, we hired in this county, we probably hire 200-300 extra people during election season, and those people are sitting there all day. Usually they're retired. They're sitting there all day for 10-12 hours opening ballots, flattening them, getting them ready for machines. Like, it's not it's not glamorous work, but they want to make sure everyone's ballot counts, and they are going to do what they need to do to get the job done. And they're doing this for long hours. And this is the same, I guarantee, in every elections office in this country. You're not making good money, but you're doing this because you love what it represents. There's a woman that works in our county elections office, Hillary O'Connor. She served in the Coast Guard, retired from there, and has now served at the county elections office for 20-plus years. And this is all because she loves the systems that we've set up. That's all you can ask for in these things.
Well, that's great stuff. Thank you for that. That's a lot of information that a lot of people don't know about.
Right.
So these folks sit at long tables opening up these envelopes, or what, in these rooms?
Yeah, so it is pretty brutal work. You are there for they'll extend hours and pay overtime as the election's getting closer, because they're trying to get as many ballots counted for that first results, that 805 report. So they'll be there for 10, 12 hours a day, sometimes 7 days a week. And their job is solely to flatten ballots, get them prepped, make sure that card A is on top of card B, that everything is ready to be fed through the system. If there's a rip in the ballot, they're going to tape that little rip down so it can go through the machine easier.
Wow.
If the ballot's too muddy, then that ballot is sent over to 2 other individuals who will sit there and they'll replicate the ballot, and then they'll properly dispose of the ballot that has all the mud on it. It is long hours of doing the most tedious task that these people are doing for 30-plus days. It's a lot of work, and all they care about is making sure that they get these ballots into the machine.
And when you were elections supervisor for San Mateo County, you witnessed all this, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I would have to be like, okay, I think you've taken more than a 30-minute break. I need you to get back.
Wow.
Open a couple more ballots.
Wow. Boy. That's great. I hope a lot of folks really get that and enjoy hearing that.
And I'll say, I think a great thing to do, especially if you have kids, take them to the elections office and ask for a tour. They'll take you back and they'll show you the whole process of how ballots are processed. And I think it's really, I know I'm a junkie about elections, but I think it's really interesting. And I think it gets your kids into thinking about voting.
Jeez, that's great. So wait a minute. Should you call them to make an appointment to come do a tour, or what?
Yeah, or you can email me and I can make sure it gets set up. And you can do it after Election Day because they're still going to be processing a ton of ballots.
Wow.
To me, it's the same as when I grew up in New Hampshire.
Yep.
And we have the first state primary.
Oh, that's right. Mm-hmm.
So between I would say 1988 and 2000, I met every presidential candidate that ran to be president because they campaigned so hard in my hometown. And as a result of that, meeting those people and then being in elections all the time, it influenced me in what I do. And I think the same could be said if you take your kids with you to the ballot box when you drop it off, or you take them to the elections office for a tour.
Great stuff. Okay. So, Meaghan, what can the city do to improve accessibility and participation in city elections?
Oh, so many things. If I had a full team, which obviously we don't need that, but I would love to see more ballot boxes permanently set up. So I think your idea of one over at the Burlingame Plaza, great. I think we need one, as I said, in North Rollins area. I'd love to see another vote center over on the northern side of town. But I also think, in our age-friendly cities plan, I think it's the older generations are used to voting in person, and maybe they no longer are capable of getting themselves to the vote center. So why can't we do pop-up vote centers for them at some of our senior living facilities? Doing things like that where you can still create that environment that they're used to, I think would be amazing. I'd also like to see us do more with our students. I think it's so important that we bring the ballot tab or marking machines that you see at the vote centers, bring it to the schools. Let them see how it's done. Let them see how you fill out a paper ballot, because then they'll know when they go off to college how to do these things. Show them how to ask for their own ballot to be sent to their college. Make it so easy that there's no excuse. The more we educate, the more we get people voting. And we already have an 88% turnout rate in our presidential elections here, but I want it to be over 90%.
Yeah. I never even think about going to a voting center anymore. I just use the drop-off. Where are these voting centers? I think in the local churches or something, or schools. Where's one around here?
Yeah, so we'll have two. One of them is currently open. We have one at the community center on the first floor.
So the machines are set up in there now? Mm-hmm. Okay.
And you can go in from anywhere in the county. So if you live in Foster City but work here in Burlingame, you can go to the community center. And between the hours of 9 to 5, they'll be there until Election Day, where they'll be 7 to 8.
Right.
And then we are going to have a 4-day vote center over at City Hall in Conference Room A and into the lobby.
Yeah. And then you have volunteers there that are kind of handling everything, or what?
Yeah, so the election staff does a great job of recruiting. They have to fully recruit people to staff all these vote centers. They also have a student democracy program where they get local high school students to show up and help people vote. And then one thing that I'm proud of that we do here is at our ballot drop box at City Hall, I have city staff man it all day, because I think it's also good for the community to see how much we care about you voting.
Right.
And I'm trying to turn it into a bit of a party. I think voting is a party, and I think you should have fun with it. So we've created selfie stations this year that'll be up at the community center and at City Hall and the library. The Youth Advisory Commission is getting involved in this. It should be something fun, and you should bring your kids with you when you drop your ballot
Listen to
off.
you. That's so cool. That's what Donna was saying, right? You're making voting fun.
Exactly.
Good for you. Okay.
Thank you.
I got a couple of more things here. Let's see. Would you like to give a little shout out to your cats or family or anything like that? Because I've got one last quote before we say goodbye. And any shout outs?
One, I am very indebted to Lisa Goldman, because she knows at the end of the day how much I love elections, and she lets me run with these ideas I have. So that's amazing. And we as a city are blessed to have her work, for us or with us. And then also, I really want to thank my admin assistant, Andrew Koka. Since 2020, he has put up with all of my ideas for Election Day. In 2020, I worked at the vote center. I took time off from work and went and worked at our voting center here in Burlingame. And he ran a whole program outside to make sure people got their stickers and were ready to go during the pandemic. So I'm very thankful to both of them.
Great. What's the feline thing? What's the cat deal here? Tell us that before we close up.
Oh, I am a huge fan of cats. I was raised always with 4 cats in my house growing up and a couple dogs, and now I had my first cat by myself. His name was Richard Seymour, if you're a football fan.
Yes, Richard's the Patriots, right? Yep. Of course.
Yes, huge Patriots fan. And then when Seymour passed away, I got a new cat, and his name is Vince, for Vince Wilfork, another great Patriot.
Yep, another Patriot, right? That's funny.
So that's, and Vince will come to work with me sometimes.
I think I saw a picture of him on Instagram, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he hangs out in my office.
That's cool. Maybe Tom Brady will come along.
I'm more of a defense.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I've got one last quote before we wrap this up, okay? And I want to do this slowly. I practiced a few times. We'll try it out. Anyway, this is a wonderful quote. I've worked with many city clerks in my 25 years in the profession, and I can honestly say that Meaghan is the most dedicated, creative, and talented of all of them. She is enthusiastic about elections and voting and has worked hard to encourage young people to register and vote. Meaghan is also committed to transparency and has developed and implemented new systems to ensure that the public has timely access to the city records that they request. When the city had to shut down at the beginning of the pandemic, Meaghan was instrumental in ensuring that we could still hold city council and commission meetings in town halls. We are so lucky to have Meaghan as part of the Burlingame family. Lisa Goldman, city manager. I think that was a pretty cool quote.
That's very nice of her. As a true New Englander, I don't do well with compliments, but that is something that I'll treasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Meaghan Hassel-Shearer, thank you so much for being here today.
Mark.
You bet.
This is great.
Just a quick reminder from Meaghan that as long as ballots postmarked on Election Day and received within 7 days are counted. We had originally mentioned it was 3 days, but that was the old law. I'd like to thank Meaghan Hassel-Shearer, Burlingame's City Clerk, for being my guest today on Burlingame. It's a small town podcast sponsored by the Burlingame Historical Society. Thanks to my Chief of Staff, Mike Nagler, for helping me in preparing these podcasts. Thanks to the great Ray Tyler for video, original music by Bray. You can hear more of Bray at braymusic.com. This podcast was recorded on Monday, October 28, 2024, at the Burlingame Public Library. The Burlingame Historical Society copyrights this program, and no part can be copied and replayed without the written consent of the Burlingame Historical Society. And finally, if you like what we have been doing, please give us a like, make a comment, and subscribe. So until next time, everyone, see you around Burlingame. It's a small town.